article titled Cultural Bias in Assessment, Can Creativity Assessment Help? And that was written by Kung-Hee Kim and Dara Zabalina. I'm just going to let you know now, I'm not going to talk too much about the creativity assessment portion. I think it's a great way that we can add on to how we're assessing in order to have a more beneficial assessment if we kept it. But for now, I'm going to focus on the biases in cultural norms and how those affect the results that we get from assessment. So our objective today, I don't know where I wrote it, but is that students will be able to understand the impacts of biases, cultural bias, in assessment as well as cultural norms and how they affect test taking. So, word here, can somebody give me their definition for bias?
I guess I can give an example.
Yeah.
Like, I work for Sanford Power, so I might be more biased to be like, yeah, they're awesome. Where,
Okay.
like, if it was like a competitor, I might be like, oh, I don't know. If I was that type of person.
Kind of like a sway of opinion you have for one reason or another.
Okay, so you're going one way or another. Okay, my next question was going to be, give me an example. So great, thanks. So in this realm, the field of education and assessment, I'm really talking about bias in the terms of the norming instruments that are used when they create these assessments to be put in every single classroom in every state. So the standardized tests used today are normed based on knowledge and values of the majority group. So here in America, that would be the Caucasian group. And we know that we are the melting pot of the world, supposedly. So with that being said, the fact that our the norming of the instruments that we use for all of these cultures is the same strikes me as being inappropriate without going too far into that. So the government agencies that use these tests to determine the various school systems in the U.S. they're used in order to determine that each child is served equally. However, we know that there's still those gaps. As you guys all talked about, the minority students and the students who are in the lower socioeconomic groups, they are still underserved greatly. So we're looking at why is this the case? So why do we have these biased assessments that we are still using? And maybe we need to be doing something different. So along with the bias, that plays into our culture. And we know we have several different cultures represented here in America. The Spanish-speaking or Latino group is the fastest growing group in America. Soon to be, Spanish will be our #1 language spoken here. So when we're looking at these tests, they're not taking that into account. They're not taking into different cultures into account and the norms of that culture. So that's my next point. So cultural norms. One of you two on this side who have not given me an answer. How would you define cultural norms?
Cultural norms are like certain, I guess, societal rules or expectations that change from one society to another. Like in Chile, I used to live in Chile, when you greet someone, like a man to a woman, you kiss them on the cheek. Here, you do not do that. That is not considered okay.
Yeah, somebody might freak out.
Yeah.
So, right on the head. So value and meaning of, when we're talking about education now, so the value and meaning of intelligence depends on cultural norms. So what is wise in one culture may not be considered wise in another. So an example of this, I want to say it was in Kenya, but it was a country in Africa, and they gave these groups of people a bag of different goods. So there's like potatoes, knives, various vegetables, various kitchen tools and things, and they asked them, how would you group these items together? And so these people group the tool that would be used with the vegetable together. They paired them together. However, if we were here in America, we're going to group all of our vegetables together, all of our tools together, right? So that does not mean that we are more wise than they are. It just means that we are different. And that's why taking into consideration the cultural norms is so important when we're looking at these, when we're looking at testing. So because that is not taken into consideration, again, is it ethical to apply these assessments across all cultures? Also with that, culture and social norms affect how test takers understand and interpret the wording of test questions. So as was mentioned, you're expected to be highly proficient in English to be taking these assessments. No matter if you just got here yesterday from Mexico and you don't know any English, you're taking that assessment. So that's another issue with this. So the question is, is it appropriate to use the same assessment with individuals of various cultures without norming that instrument to reflect all of those cultures? That's really, at the end of the day, what we're looking at. So the results of these standardized testing. So what we're seeing with this is there's an overrepresentation of minority children in special education classes. And the problem with that is once you're put into that category, your likelihood of dropping out skyrockets. Also the stigma from your peers. You're going to a separate class in a separate hall. Everybody knows, that is not benefiting you in your motivation to be successful. The achievement gap is still there. So what we're doing is not affecting that. And then finally, we have a lack of understanding for effectively teaching a multicultural population when we are basing everything off of these assessments that are, at the end of the day, biased.